Hey guys, so it's here bringing you another video. Welcome back to another higher rating spectate. Today we are watching Graves. Graves Jungle specifically is worth noting that because Graves is actually growing in popularity in other roles. So we may check that out in the next week or so. But like Graves mid and stuff like that is becoming more of a thing. But we are going to watch Graves Jungle. Meanwhile, level 1 invade. The volley bear is definitely in trouble. He flashes into a wall and will go down. Pantheon does flash as well, but there is the end of that. Advantage enemy team. But yeah, the reason watching Graves is obviously these high rating spectates. I either go with things that I'm just interested in by two different ways. I'm interested in playing said champion, so it's worth watching a high rating player and seeing how they play it, and then I can learn before I play it myself. And I've not played Graves yet this season. Secondly, sometimes we just tune into champions that I'm like, I just want to see, I've got no interest in this champion, let's see what they can do. We might do an Udyr episode, for example, in the next couple of days, because why not? I don't play Udyr. I've got no interest in playing Udyr. But if I find a high-rating player, master or above, that plays Udyr, it will be interesting to watch. Stuff like that is why I do these. It's also to show the human aspect of solo queue, to show that players are not perfect, even in the higher top tiers of rank. And I like showing that. Meanwhile, Graves starting E level 1, which is the natural thing, doing red, no leash. Graves, as you can see, is pretty, well, competent at clearing it itself. It does affect the clear time, but you allow your laners to get to lane without, you know, hurting their lane at all. It is also worth noting both top laners, by the way, having Doran's ring. It became, before the changes, it was a normal thing for a volley bear to do, but also a Mordekaiser, apparently. Obviously, the item got changed, and killing a minion restores 6 mana. But if you can't gain mana, you actually get health back instead. So it's actually not a bad item for Mord, or if you see Vladimir's buy it, it's actually pretty decent. Pretty good sustain. But yeah, Graves in the early game, I would suspect is just going to more or less free farm. But I will say, I have seen a Graves against me in this season, and their damage was redonkulous. Like an insane amount of damage. So I'd be interested to see, you know, how much damage the Graves is going to be dealing. Now, it is worth noting, and I just want to pause it here very quickly. The Graves hasn't used Smite yet. So the cooldown, you can see here, the cooldown, if you can really zoom in, I guess, is about to hit 2. When you've got 2 Smites available, it doesn't start to recharge straight away. You have to use 1. Make sure when you're jungling to use your smite before you hit number 2, because then you're just wasting time on your smite cooldown, and there's the smite. You're wasting smite on your cooldown on your smite, and right now with jungling, obviously your benefit, you want to smite 5 times as fast as possible, because that is when you get your upgrade. So the Graves is obviously going for challenging smite this game. Meanwhile, coming in, Alistair with the Pantheon support, who clearly still is a thing in the game right now, and Graves most likely will pick up that kill. Nice and easy, but unfortunately the Kai'Sa does go down. And the Kai'Sa went down, by the way, with not using flash. So probably just got straight up murdered and was surprised by how much damage came out the Misfortune and the Pantheon, I would imagine, in the early game. They are going to push it in, though, and they might actually be able to get 1 tower play. Maybe not. Maybe that'll be a bit ambitious. Graves may... they're trying to zone. Oh, they're going to go aggressive. Hits the W, and the Graves picks up that kill. That was really nice. Pantheon now making his way back to lane, and Mordekaiser teleports to bot lane. Bit surprised about that. Kai'Sa, by the way, returning to mid lane. Doesn't go straight to bot. She actually goes mid and gets 1 kill. Meanwhile, Akali died and Silas died, so a 1-for-1. Alistair waiting in the wings, and Scuttle Crab is now the contended thing. Taliyah, by the way, I've heard mixed things about Taliyah. I have heard that she's pretty weak, but I also know the AP items are very strong. Obviously, most AP items are actually seeing nerfs in the next patch, or already have had nerfs. I said that from PBE testing, and obviously everyone's got their own opinions in that. But when I was doing PBE testing and all these mages, I was like, Jesus Christ, these items are strong. Meanwhile, Alistair goes down, and Graves is just going to base in the river bush, not looking for that big fight. So yeah, right now, the enemy blue team clearly has an advantage. Good for Kai'Sa getting that 1 kill in mid lane, though. That does probably even up the gold. Yeah, Misfortune's still a little bit ahead, but it does help a bit. And they might even dive her, by the way. Pantheon support is very aggressive. Very good at diving early because you can ignore damage. I believe, can he ignore damage? Can he ignore tower damage with his E? I think he can. Possibly. Can I find out? Braces his shield, engages enemies in chosen direction 1.5. Becoming... Look at the damage output there. Becoming immune to damage from that direction. I guess he's immune to damage, even towers. That's kind of crazy if that is the case. Maybe that needs to get toned down. And that will stop the pressure of Pantheon support, because he can just, like, dive and stuff in the early game. Anyway, he's going to go for a little play. He's finding a Pantheon who is probably going to be dead. Oh, but Talia's in the area, but Graves' damage, by the way, is nuts. Can you already see his DPS? Talia now also is in trouble. Graves is going to go for a pure 2. Look, he's just in their face, and he just doesn't care. He's low health. He's going to continue Misfortune. Why can he do this? Because he's a Graves, and he's now got insane amounts of armor. Pause it. He had full stacks of his E. He had 48 bonus armor at level 5. 50 armor, basically. That's why he can do that. Like, yeah, Talia's doing a bit of magic damage, but Pantheon's not really doing any damage to him because of 58 AD in the early game. Misfortune's not really going to be doing much damage to him either. This is why I think Graves is legit nuts. And by the way, this has been nerfed. From memory, it used to be like 60 armor or something ridiculous when you had 8 stacks of your E. It's now 50 or 48. But unfortunately, obviously, the Alistair took the kill. I don't know if the Alistair needed to take that kill. I think Graves probably had it, but I guess better to be safe than sorry. But the Graves doing a bit more jungle clear, and obviously, item-wise, has got his serrated Dirk, but that's all he's got. You know, it's not like he's got a full item. He's going to push that in, so it gives Akali chance to go back, and Pantheon is mid lane looking for a potential gank. So again, a crazy game so far. Talia waiting in the bush for Graves, and she will get that nice pick. So that was a bit greedy from the Graves to be that low health, just walking casually like nothing could go wrong. Pantheon in trouble now. You can see the high DPS by Kai'Sa actually coming out. Alistair going for a combo, and there's no follow-up damage, unfortunately, for Alistair, unless the Pantheon decides to keep fighting, which I don't think he's going to do. Graves now with his Vamp Scepter. Long swords. I don't know what item this guy's going to go. I don't know what the hell... what was that? I think it was something to do in top lane. Maybe Mordekaiser's ult, and that was like the music from the Death Realm, but for some reason we hear it. So just to say, this player that we're watching specifically is currently a master player, but it has been challenger. So season 7 they were challenger. Season 7 they were master. Season 8 they were challenger. Season 9 they were challenger. And I don't know what they ended up in Season 10. Probably Master or Grandmaster. Is a Graves main, but isn't like a pure main. 244 games. Actually, let's just change it to solo queue to make sure. Okay, 230 games of Graves in solo queue. 176 Elise games. 155 Rek'Sai. Then Nidalee 130 games. And then Elise in 100 games. So it's just a good jungler that obviously does use Graves as their big champion. Akali going to go as aggressive as she can, and in a 2v3 with Graves not managing to get in really deep, does a pretty good job. Red team collapsing really well. Kai'Sa already in the fight. Don't know where Misfortune is, actually. There, late. She is late. A fight in her own territory, Misfortune got beat to it by a Kai'Sa. That's when you know you're probably reacting a little bit too slow to your own team fighting. Yeah, Graves doing a good job, good amount of damage, following up the Akali. And yeah, so this Graves is just a generically good Graves. 230 games of solo queue with a 54% win rate. Their Elise win rate is actually more impressive. 176 games of Elise, 60.2% win rate. That's a lot. You know, that's a really high win rate. You know, and this I wouldn't say is a smurf. It had 1,300 solo queue games on this account in Season 10. So this is just a really good jungle player. And godlike Graves, by the way. This is how competitive I will say Graves is. So this is a very high rating Graves player with over 230 games played, which in my book is quite a lot of games, is only just under the 800th best Graves in the world. That's the thing with these world ranks that we sometimes speak about. Like, you know, we've gone like, oh, we're watching the rank 1 Katarina, or we're watching the rank 1 Nidalee, or whatever. Like, the champion popularity affects the world ranks, because you could be an amazing Graves like this player, but not have a very impressive world rank on the Graves. Meanwhile, finding the Pantheon's just going to go down. Don't know why the Pantheon ignited then. That was a bit weird. But yeah, it's like rank 791 Graves in the world, 171 on EU West. Yet they're a master challenger type player with a really good win rate and good KD, good stats. That's what it is. So again, world rank, you got to take it. World rank's cool, but like, it's sometimes more impressive to be even in a top 1,000 world rank on a champion that's really competitive like Graves over like a niche pick. If you're top 100 on something that's really niche, then it's not as impressive because hardly anybody plays it. Big fight happening. 1-for-1 so far. And this game, like, honestly, it's just like ARAM. Both supports are just chilling in mid for most of the game. This Pantheon has been level 5 for ages because he's not getting any XP. Yeah, crazy game. This is becoming more and more common. And I will say, in the next couple of days, I'm actually going to be doing a league discussion on the new items and what's my impression, like my first impression on them. All I will say as like a lead up to that video, and you guys obviously in that video can join in the comments, the damage in the game is nuts at the moment. And again, that will be spoken about in the upcoming league discussion. Mordekaiser going all in, is going to get the volley bear. Not really sure why the volley bear went so close there, to be honest. Alistair coming in with a nice headbutt. He didn't do the combo because he probably wanted to get the Mordekaiser away and closer to danger, I guess, away from safety. And Graves now, and this is something you'll see very common with the Graves. Oh, he's doing really well. He's 8-1, by the way. He'll do a gank, and then you notice after every little gank that he does well in the lane, he'll just take excess farm, that he'll just finish the farm. 3 minions, 4 minions. Oh, he just cleared a wave. That's how this Graves has 89 farm right now. He's clearing his jungle at really high speed. But then, yeah, after every gank, which he's ganking quite a lot, he's been involved in 10 kills out of 13 so far, he'll take some farm. It's a very common thing. Well, it's not... junglers do it, but I think Graves is a very common champion to do it, you know, specifically. All right, so, is going Eclipse. So the reason why Graves would probably go Eclipse, which is this is the item that deals, I think it's 8%. Is it 8%? 8% max health physical damage to your target when you deal 2 separate attacks or abilities within 1.5 seconds. With Graves, very easy, and you might see it here. It's an look at that! Oh my god, Pantheon nearly just got absolutely obliterated. Graves going to walk through the fight. Akali looking to clean up with another kill. She gets herself a double kill. Enemy team just get annihilated. But yeah, with Graves, pretty easy to proc it. Q auto attack. Instantly procs Eclipse. And with a high amount of burst damage, because Graves is what you would probably consider a burst AD champion. Obviously, if you're unaware, when Graves first came out, and I want to say he came out in Season 2, he was an AD carry, like an actual AD carry. I played him. My 2 mains in Season 2 were actually Graves and Severe. I was an AD carry player for most of Season 2. And I played Graves. I loved his old playstyle. And then when they reworked him, that's when he became a jungler since then, I think. I think people, when he first got reworked, still tried to play him in bot lane, but it just didn't really work as well. So yeah, like that, he was just kind of in the jungle from then on. I kind of miss playing Graves AD carry. Again, I wouldn't play current Graves down there. The shotgun with minion waves, it's just too awkward to actively trade in bot lane. Because, you know, they just hide behind minions and then you're not really doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, a potential fight again happening in bot lane. Misfortune ulting away, low health. And by the way, that is a volley bear down in bot lane for some reason. They have to be careful. Although Pantheon is low. Oh, Alistair goes for the engage. Volley bear flashing. 1-for-1 so far. Can volley bear survive as well? The reason why this is all happening, I would say, is because Rift Herald actually has been spawned. Graves is going to go for the Pantheon. Goes for his ult. And unfortunately, probably just rushes it a little bit too much, and the Pantheon just easily walks to the side and misses it. Graves going to go for this red, though. He stole it last time, and because of what just happened in bot lane, he can steal it again. And that's another big thing with like how good you are as a jungler. You don't have to invade. You don't have to steal. But it's really good if you do, because we've already spoken about jungle XP is really harsh. Because if you get all of your jungle, and your opponent gets their jungle, well, then you should be even. But what is jungle nowadays is the neutral camps. Scuttle crabs, dragons, Rift, they all give XP. And usually one jungler is getting most of that. Well, that's you know, one jungler's ahead already. Look at the damage, by the way. Half health to the Pantheon with basically one auto Q. And he's dead. And Graves is going to continue. He's got obviously tanky right now because he's got his E armor, and she's dead too. Akali double kill. Graves manages to survive as well. Really aggressive, high level play here we're seeing by the Graves. But yeah, what is worse is, okay, in theory, one jungler is going to be slightly ahead of the other, and you can't really catch that up because of the neutral camps. We've got Silas going bot lane, which is questionable. He is going to go down pretty much straight away to the Akali again. Well, what happens if one jungler takes all their farm, then takes the neutrals, and then invades and takes and steals camps there? You get so far behind as a jungler, and that's why we're seeing already in this game a 2-level lead for the Graves is happening, with also a 50 farm lead as well. It's just, this is what Graves can do. And so far, you know, as I said, we're watching high rating Graves because I'm always interested in the champion. I've played him a decent amount, obviously. Eclipse, it makes sense to me for his mythic. I don't know if any others would be as good as it consistently. And here's the thing, I'm sure there's champions out there that have multiple mythics that will work for them, but most champions are going to probably have that one mythic that is just the most consistent for them and just the most adaptable to use all the time. And I think Eclipse will probably be that for Graves. He has now bought, by the way, an Edge of Night, which is here, which obviously is the spell shield that you can have every 40 seconds. That's a really good item. Well, one, it gives him high damage, lethality, it gives him a little bit of health, and then magic resist. Is it magic resist, or did that go away? Oh, no, no magic resist. But you're obviously good against just blocking individual abilities, like the Talia that waited in a bush earlier and actually killed the Graves. That initial burst now won't be as effective. Volibear diving a Misfortune. She goes down. Volibear doesn't seem to care that much. Graves having a fight with the Silas. A lot of people up in top lane. Akali going to come in and probably do a little bit of cleaning service. Graves and Akali getting one each, and Graves and Akali going to continue the chase to see if they can do anything. Hard to catch a Talia, to be fair, because if she hugs the wall, she has that movement speed of the surfboard. But Graves actually might cut her off. There is a tower, but what can they do? She used her abilities. With then the Akali coming back in, Graves doing a bit of tanking, and Akali maybe not getting the kill, and is going to die to the Pantheon in the end. A little bit of overgreed, and we're seeing that a little bit this game. Graves isn't going to continue even at the tower. Not interested in dying is this Graves. He's obviously worth 700 gold bounty. You shouldn't really be giving that away. And once again, the stealing that we've spoken about so much this game is happening more. Another kill. Alistar actually didn't get an assist for that. Graves instantly autoed and got that kill of Talia. And this is just when it goes from bad to worse for a jungler. You're now dead. You stayed at low health. Your blue's now been stolen. It's just really rough. Mordekaiser on the back foot. Graves with the high damage. With then probably one more auto attack to finish it off. Weirdly not going for it instantly. Ults and gets the kill. You're not stopping this Graves. That's the kind of crazy thing. The only way I would say that they're going to stop him is chain CC, and obviously he bought that Edge of Night to reduce his some CC level potentially. But yeah, you have to work together as a team, I would say, to stop this Graves, because individually he's stronger than you all individually, and hell, even in a 2v1, he's actually stronger than most of you in a 2v1. Maybe Mordekaiser, well, maybe like the AP champions have a better chance, because then, you know, Graves stacks his E that gives him armor. But bot lane don't have any chance, I'd say, against this guy right now. If we go again through the mythics. So, Volibear's got Turbo Chem Tank, Eclipse of Graves, Hextech Rocket Belt for Akali, which is the one that I don't think normally Akali's build. Drakthar for Kai'Sa, which is a bit weird. And a Locket of the Iron Solari for Alistar. Mordekaiser's gone Riftmaker. Leandri's for Talia. Hextech Rocket Belt for Silas. Eclipse for Misfortune. And Eclipse for Pantheon. Anyway, the base is actually being broken into. I'm not sure if the enemy team... Well, they're actually dead. Talia, Silas, and Pantheon are dead right now. And there's Misfortune and Mordekaiser in top lane. So that's why we're not seeing a defense. It's because they just died. The Rift Herald just dies before it crashes. Pantheon actually killed that. A really good time. Anyway, they're going to go for maybe a potential fight. Mordekaiser ults. And notice, by the way, it's a really nice attention to detail. In the Death Realm, all these kind of lanterns glow like purple. Pretty cool. Volibear picks up a kill for himself. Ulting in is the Silas. Legendary continues as the Graves with then the high DPS double kill, making himself 14-1-9. Alistair going to continue walking next to his targets to see if he can get a Q. Volibear with that Chem tank is quite fast. They are getting some Dark Harvest stacks. Talia doing a bunch of damage. Misfortune with a decent ultimate, but look, the Graves is just tanking it. He just doesn't care. That's crazy. And that most likely with the flash is going to be a dead Misfortune by the Kai'Sa, and that will be the game. So this was, I would say, one of the most perfect Graves games that we'll ever really see. High farm, 189 farm, highest farm in the game. Most kills in the game, died once, and did both farming, you know, positively in his jungle, took neutral camps, didn't lose a dragon, but then also stole camps too in the enemy jungle. This is like how to play Graves 101. Very impressive. And yeah, Graves as a champion, very strong right now, unsurprisingly. But yeah, Graves nearly 100 farm up on his late opponent in 20 minutes. That's nuts. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. I probably will play Graves in the next couple of days. I enjoy the champion. But yeah, hopefully you're enjoying the content. Let me know down below, by the way, is there any champions that you want me to watch that I might have just, like, forgot about? Let me know. Because my goal is obviously preseason. I can't, well, preseason, I'm not going to do all 150 champions in preseason. There are some champions I'm just not interested in. But my goal is to make a video on maybe minimum 100 champions during preseason to see what they're about, and whether that be a live commentary that I'm doing or a channel or a high rating spectate, whichever. I just want to cover as many champions as possible so I know in the new season what to expect. What item do they go? What's their general power spikes? That's kind of what I want to do. So let me know down below what champions I should cover next. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, though. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.